Hello and welcome to the program. We have a special guest on the show today, but before I introduce him, let's take a look at the thought of the day. Art enables us to find ourselves and lose ourselves at the same time. By Thomas Merton. Indeed, a very relevant thing to say, and our guest today is also from the field of art. He's an art historian, a photographer and a documentary filmmaker. Please welcome Benoy K. Behl. Mr. Behl, a warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. A great pleasure to be here with you.
Let's start off the conversation about art history as such. It's indeed a multidisciplinary field where, a lot of things are the basic input as far as art history is concerned. But what do you think, as far as the common people, the teachers, the entire community is concerned, how well is art history understood in our country?
In the Indian tradition, art is enormously important. In the Chitra Sutra, which is the oldest known treatise on art making known to mankind, we talk about the fact that the aesthetic experience, your response, when you look at something beautiful in nature or in art, your aesthetic response is akin to Brahmanand itself, the final bliss of salvation itself. So that is how important art is in the Indian tradition. We also have a huge body of surviving art, a gigantic corpus of art, a huge corpus of art. So art is, I believe, far more important to us, that the study of art, the study of the history of art is something which, the importance of which we should recognize more and more. And if I may add, most of all because it transforms life.
That's true.
Art is not just something which lies in museums or it's something just to be looked at. In the Indian tradition, art is understood to transport you. It is understood to emancipate you. It is understood to awaken the best qualities within you and to be an enormously important part of life. So yes, it is, I believe, a fact that the study of art history and art should be, should play a far greater role in Indian life than it does today.
But in modern times, if we were to take our school-going children or college-going children, they don't really appreciate art as such. And, at the school level, there is no orientation. Don't you think, we can focus more at the school level and catch them young?
Art is something which should be a part of life.
Yes.
So when you're speaking of school, in fact, you could be speaking of the earliest levels in school itself, and at home and everywhere. This whole idea about art being something that is separated from the rest of life is not an Indian concept.
Okay.
This whole separation of art as a commodity or art as a museum piece matter is not the Indian concept. For an Indian, an understanding of life has to be also shaped by art.
That's true.
In fact, the better parts of yourself are understood through art, and the beauty of your life is brought out through art. You discover the joy which is within you largely through art.
Yes.
So art has to be much more important in a truly Indian sense. And I agree with you that the education system that we follow today was really something which is the outcome of British colonial rule, which established an education system, the purpose of which was to create a body of Indians who were really, who were Indian in color and blood, but who were really English in terms of their thinking.
Okay.
This is something which runs very, very deep. I'll give you an important example. We use the term gods, and we believe that Indians have hundreds of gods.
Probably thousands of them, as you say.
Now, in point of fact, India's is a beautiful philosophic vision. It's a marvelous science of life. And in this philosophic vision which comes from the Upanishads, there are no gods. There are deities. These deities are personifications. एक रूप दिया गया है. Two qualities which are within yourself. The grace within you, the wisdom within you, the compassion within you. These are personified. उनको एक रूप दिया गया है in deities. So when you look upon those deities in art, when you meditate upon those deities, you awaken those qualities within yourself.
Within you, that's true.
When those qualities grow within you, the idea is that they should fill you completely one day. And at that point, you have become the deity.
That's true.
So,
closer to God.
From the simple misunderstanding of the word God begins your misunderstanding of the deepest parts of your own culture.
That's true.
Take the word puja. Now, European scholars have misunderstood the word puja for a long time to mean prayer. Though now European scholars also are understanding it and trying to correct their mistake that puja is not prayer. Puja is adoration. Puja is adoration of the deity. The adoration with flowers, with incense, with water, with milk, with anything.
The abhishekam which is done, abhishekam with honey, and that's true.
With dance, with music.
Okay, yeah, it would be.
All this is
it's
adoration.
An offering, means offering to the Almighty. Okay.
Yes, in fact, you see what happens in our language when you use the word Almighty. It comes from our British education.
That's true.
You see, because these deities are not external powers. Shiva is within you.
It's deep within.
Buddha is within you. Durga is within you. You might ask, what is Durga? Durga is the vigor within you, the courage within you, the vigor within you, with which you will destroy the demons of your ignorance. Ignorance is the only demon in Indian thought. It is only ignorance that you have to dispel. You have to gain knowledge. You have to come to know the truth.
But the concept which you are talking about, that we have it within ourselves. But don't you think we all need a teacher to teach us how to reach that destination? Otherwise, we won't be able to reach, isn't it?
And that is where the art of India is the most valuable thing that we have. Because it is the art, even more than the people, that has been able to purely maintain the tradition of philosophy and its aesthetics. As a matter of fact, the Chitra Sutra, the oldest known treatise, as I mentioned, known to mankind, is very clear that art has a purpose. And this is the purpose. The purpose is to emancipate you. The purpose is to show you the grace which underlies the optical reality of the world.
That's true.
There is a grace which underlies everything. There is a beauty which underlies everything. There is a truth which underlies everything. And the purpose of art is to bring that before you, not just the day-to-day nature which you observe every day, not just the day-to-day things which you chase every day, not just the day-to-day things which you are pained by every day because you hurt yourself in the process of chasing them. There's constant dissatisfaction of the world. But underlying all that, there is a grace. And the art teaches you. You look at this art, just look at it. Every time that you look at it, it makes you feel peaceful.
That's true. That's true.
There is a joy and peace which it evokes, which is inside you. It is all within you. but this helps you reach out to that which is inside you.
But so till about some 200-300 years, was the culture were intact altogether?
From the time of the Indus Valley civilization 5,000 years ago,
Okay.
India has presented a remarkable place where there was the understanding of life and its beauty, and there was this constant search for the truth. There was yoga, which you find depicted from the Indus Valley time onwards. And the important thing to understand along with that is that this search for the truth and the search for peace and beauty did not mean a lack of commercial success.
Okay.
In fact, till the coming of the colonial rulers, India was one or two, India and China,
Okay.
most successful trading economies of the entire world. India was very wealthy. I mean,
कहते भी हैं सोने की चिड़िया थी.
Absolutely. In fact, that echoes what foreign visitors from the BC period onwards,
Okay.
Greeks, Romans, Persians, Portuguese, so many others. In fact, the Portuguese right up till the 16th century are found writing about India, that the streets of the Indian cities will amaze you. That if I describe the wealth on the streets of India,
Okay.
And even the good conditions of the common person in India, people will not believe me, because the eye has never beheld the kind of riches, the kind of comforts which India has. So this continued from the BC period right up till the 16th century.
Okay.
When came a period, you see, when the Greeks came and many of them settled in India in the BC period, they came, they settled in India. As a matter of fact, they also worshipped Indic deities. Practically the oldest Hindu antiquity is the Heliodorus pillar in Madhya Pradesh, which goes back to the 2nd century BC, which was a donation of a Greek called Heliodorus, this beautiful pillar dedicated to Vasudeva. So you also find that the Greeks were donating so many sculptures and pillars in Buddhist caves in Maharashtra in the BC period. So unlike that, when the European colonizers came, they had a different agenda. They did not come and settle down in India and become Indian and start worshipping Indian deities. They instead retained their close contact with the countries they came from. And their whole agenda was to take all the riches that they could from here, and they keep on pumping them out and sending them to their own parent country. And as a part of this agenda, and to justify their rule over India and so many millions of Indians, they went on criticizing Indian culture. So they created an educational system in which we who were trained in that education system were very critical of Indian culture. We were taught to admire Western culture enormously, and in many ways look down upon ourselves.
Mr. Behl, we spoke about yoga, and you also spoke about that. You made a documentary film, Yoga and Ancient, about the ancient tradition, the ancient vision of life. Tell us about that particular documentary.
This film is all about the fact that a few thousand years ago, the intellectuals in India began the journey within. Much of modern thinking is based upon a vision of life in which we are constantly examining what is around us and trying to create a science which helps us to control the forces around us for our benefit. Now, a few thousand years ago, the Indian thinkers had realized that all that we try to gain from the world around us eventually leads to dissatisfaction. So they were already working on trying to find out what is within us. What is it that truly gives us lasting joy, lasting peace and lasting happiness? What is it that makes each day a better day? What is it that makes it better for me to interact with all the people around me and the world around me, and therefore in fact creates a better world around me? So this marvelous science of life began to be developed a long time ago in India. And this journey within, this marvelous science of life, is yoga. And here I'd say that we owe it to the present government that they recognized the fact that yoga should be recognized as Indian, because it was happening all over the world without people even giving credit to India. So the Indian Prime Minister's role in bringing about an International Yoga Day, I think, is marvelous, and it has helped to underline the fact, very clearly underline the fact, that yoga comes from India.
It's an Indian concept. That's right.
Entirely. Because yoga is something which begins with yam and niyam. Yoga is something which is based upon ethics.
That's right.
The first and most important basis of yoga is ethics. Without yam and niyam, there can be no yoga.
That's right.
And yoga has to be a journey within. And physical exercise is not yoga at all.
That's right.
We do certain physical things. In fact, what is the asana? What does asana mean? Asana means seat.
Seat.
So you prepare a seat.
And a posture.
Yeah, it is. The posture is the seat, is the asana. So you prepare that. Asana to be able to undertake the journey.
That's right.
To be able to meditate. When you begin to discover the stability, the peace within you, you become genuinely confident.
That's self-actualization. That's true.
Yeah, that is what yoga takes you to. It takes you to a realization of what there is within you.
Mr. Behl, you're talking about yoga and fitness. Let's see in store what is in store for our viewers as far as yoga and our fitness segment is concerned.
बच्चों को जय भी करें, उनको थायराइड और टॉन्सिल की प्रॉब्लम छोटे छोटे बच्चों को होने लग गई आजकल. टॉन्सिल की प्रॉब्लम और थायराइड और पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड, इन दोनों का हाइट में बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है. तो कपालभाति से, थायराइड स्वस्थ होने से और उज्जाई से, थायराइड स्वस्थ होने से, अनुलोम विलोम से, पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड के स्वस्थ होने से हार्मोन्स का बैलेंस ठीक रहता है. थायराइड और पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड ठीक रहे तो बच्चों की हाइट अच्छी रहती है. तो कपालभाति, एक तो इससे कैल्शियम पूरा अवशोषित होगा उनके शरीर में, से हड्डियाँ बढ़ेंगी तो हाइट बढ़ेगी, और दूसरे से थायराइड ठीक रहेगा तो थायराइड से होने वाले हार्मोन्स का सिक्रेशन हाइट बढ़ाने के लिए काफ़ी जिम्मेदार है. और पिट्यूटरी ग्लैंड, तो कपालभाति और उज्जाई, सांस को अंदर भरना, गले को टाइट करते हुए सांस को अंदर भरते हैं और अंदर भर के थोड़ी देर रोक के रखते हैं. फिर दाएं नाक को बंद करके बाएं से सांस को बाहर छोड़ देते हैं. इससे बच्चों का थायराइड स्वस्थ होगा, उनकी हाइट अच्छी होगी. और इसके साथ साथ फिर अनुलोम विलोम प्राणायाम, ये भी 5 मिनट करना है. बाएं से लिया दाएं से बाहर, और दाएं से लिया, फिर दाएं नाक को अंगूठी से बंद करके बाएं से बाहर छोड़ दिया. ये 5 मिनट बच्चों को करवाइए. 5 मिनट कपालभाति, 5 मिनट अनुलोम विलोम करने से बच्चों की आंखों पर चश्मा नहीं आएगा, उनका आई क्यू लेवल अच्छा रहेगा, उनका आईसाइट अच्छी रहेगी, उनकी मेमोरी शार्प होगी, वो पढ़ा हुआ भूलेंगे नहीं तो पढ़ते हैं और अगले दिन डिलीट हो जाता है. बच्चों को बहुत प्रॉब्लम आती है उससे. प्राणायाम के करने से एक और भी बात होगी, बच्चों के अंदर अच्छे विचारों का प्रवाह बना रहेगा. बड़ी सोच, कड़ी मेहनत और पक्का इरादा, तो ही आदमी ज़िंदगी में महान बनता है.
Welcome back. Let's continue our conversation with Mr. Behl. Let's shift gears and move away from yoga into different other forms of art. About the sculptures, you've done a lot of work, Indian paintings and sculpture. Tell us about that.
There's so many pretty remote places where I've gone a number of times.
Okay.
So I've had the joy of seeing and photographing and researching and analyzing the art of India, literally all over the country. And also I've gone to the many countries of Asia, where the art of India is beautifully reflected.
You've recently launched this particular book of yours, The Art of India, in 2 volumes. Tell us what's been the inspiration behind bringing out this particular book.
Well, Frontline have been rather wonderful in bringing out this book in 2 volumes, and I must say that they have really put their heart into it and printed it absolutely beautifully. The inspiration is the art of India. I mean, from the time of my work on the Ajanta paintings, I was completely transformed by the beautiful art of India. There is a compassion, a marvelous deep and inward look which is present in the art of India. And there is a whole tradition of compassion which took me over completely.
Okay.
So the rest of my life was spent in documenting the art of India and sharing this tradition all over the world.
Yeah. You spoke about Ajanta paintings. You're credited with photography in zero or low light. Tell us about that.
Well, the ancient paintings of Ajanta are in these caves, these beautiful, marvelous caves in Maharashtra. And because the paintings are ancient, strong lights are not allowed to be used inside, quite correctly so, as the lights would lead to fading of the paintings. So in 1991, when I set out to photograph these paintings,
Yeah.
I had to employ a technique which I had developed for 10 years preceding that, of being able to photograph perfectly in conditions of extremely low light.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, perfectly means here that the colors and the details come out even better, much better,
Okay.
in the
In
low
low
light
light?
than they come out with strong lights, because strong lights lead to a lot of surface reflections. Therefore, when I took these photographs, art historians all over the world and in India, who had spent even 30-40 years of their life studying Ajanta,
Okay.
all of them said that they had never seen Ajanta so clearly as was seen in my photographs. Because when they went there, the light was too little,
Okay.
and photographs which were taken inside were, had a lot of surface reflection.
So did you
So,
use special cameras for that?
No, I used a normal f3 Nikon camera, but extremely long exposures,
Okay.
100 ASA film.
Right.
And the best thing about this low light photography there was that I had to spend many weeks inside the caves.
Mm-hmm.
I had to spend a lot of time in front of all the paintings.
Okay.
That gave me the opportunity to be exposed to the beauty and the grace of these paintings for a very long time. Here I must tell you
Yeah.
that immediately after taking these photographs, I was invited by practically all the major universities and museums in the world whose name I had ever heard,
Mm-hmm.
to come and lecture. And this happened to a person who had never stepped out of India before. And the response in all these universities and museums, this was all the experts, all the critics and art historians of Europe and USA and Asia. There was a unanimous response that this the paintings of Ajanta, must surely be the finest art of humankind.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's the kind of appreciation, you know, Indians should need, and Indian art especially.
Marvelous, absolutely marvelous.
Mr. Behl, thank you so much. It was really wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
So that's it in this edition of Aaj Savere. If you have any feedback, you can email it to us at aajsavere@ddkdelhi.org.in. So that's it. Namaskar.